LeVar, we talked a little bit on Roots, the new version of Roots, and Jonathan, you and I have sat at the Four Seasons many times and just complained about the world.
Yeah.
First of all, congratulations on Picard. What an incredible series this is, and I know, Jonathan, that you step behind the camera a lot. Is that now a comfortable place for you?
I'm much more comfortable there. I was thrilled to be back as an actor on season of Picard, but I prefer the other.
And LeVar, how about you? Directing a second nature now?
It is. I'm, fortunate to have been able to follow, Jonathan's lead and step across the line onto the other side of the camera. How lucky are we to be able to be storytellers that aren't relegated to a single, modality of storytelling, acting, directing, writing, what a blessing.
It is a big. You've also worked with one of my dear friends, Dean Devlin, many, many times, and
Dean's a big Star Trek fan.
His mother was in the original.
I know. Dean asked me, he said, "You think LeVar would do the show?" I said, "I know he would do the show." "You think he'd play a librarian?" I said, "I don't think that's too much of a stretch." Ask LeVar to be interested in playing a librarian. Yeah.
The blessings that come from Star Trek. You have your crew, your cast have given birth to engineers, to scientists, to people who study math, and you've also helped the challenged people to look at themselves in a different way. What a beautiful, beautiful series this has been for nearly 60 years.
It's astounding, isn't it?
The contributions that Trek has made to modern culture are numerous. We have a cell phone because of Star Trek. Those indelible images of Kirk flipping open that communicator and calling the ship. Some kid became a scientist, an engineer, a designer of product, and here we are. Everything that is in this realm began as an idea in the imagination of a human being, and Star Trek champions that concept that we are really phenomenal beings when we put our minds to it.
Jonathan, how has Riker changed in approaching the Picard series?
Well, Riker has changed as Frakes has changed in that he's older. Not necessarily wiser, but the character, Chabon Michael Chabon, who was with us in the beginning, wrote some great story for Marina and myself, for Troy and Riker in the first season, with a backstory that we had lost our son, and we'd gone to a planet to try to save his life, and we have a wonderful daughter, and Picard comes to visit us. So there was that setup which informed going forward, and then Picard starts with Riker being called by his old friend, no longer in Starfleet, who's at the chateau, and we go on an adventure together, and we go as brothers. We go as Butch and Sundance. So that what Terry had explained to Patrick and me, and what Chabon had explained to Marina and me, helped me fill in. So we had what we used to call packing in acting school, where you pack that into your character to inform your behavior and your decisions.
And the same question: how has Geordi changed?
I think the most significant change for Geordi is that when we meet him again, he's a parent, and his role as a father really informs a lot of his motivations in Picard season 3, and that was a really important note that Terry and I had in our initial discussions. How important it was for me to rehabilitate Geordi's image as a man. The idea that the engineer was uncomfortable around women never landed for me. I always thought it was, really hackneyed. And the opportunity to right that wrong was huge motivation for me to come back.
Playing 7 of 9 this long, is it a curse or a blessing? Because actors normally, after a series end, do not get to revisit a character.
Absolutely not. No, this is a very, very rare gift as an actress, not just to be able to revisit this character, but to have a character that has been so rich from the beginning and has so much development and such a huge, vast arc of growth. It's been so much fun to play her. And I love her journey from the beginning to the end of the season. It's just, I think it's when the fans see season 3, they're going to be very, very satisfied with how this goes.
And Todd,
I love 7. They're going to love.
We all do already. But Todd, are you ready to have an action figure?
I could walk into the ocean after that. Like, that's all I want. I've got into acting so that I could get a action figure. I'm sad that Mego no longer makes action figures, because I would love a Mego action figure. I don't expect anything of the sort, but if you saw my Nerd Lair, I'm leaving a space for it. I'll be honest.
He's not lying.
He's not. I have a ridiculous toy collection from the start. My first action figures were Kirk, Spock, and McCoy. So at 6 years old. Yeah. So yeah, that would be a dream come true.
You know, Jerry Ryan, Dracula 2000, really holds up.
Does it?
But your arc in Leverage, Dean Devlin is one of my dear friends, and what a lovely role that was.
Leverage was so much fun. Tara Cole was a great character. Another one that's just.
I did Leverage too.
Did you do Leverage too?
Yes.
See, we're so connected.
Wow.
No, that was so much fun. Everything is different because she was the grifter, so you're a different character in every episode. It's like, who am I this week? It was so fun reading those scripts.
Todd, does being an improv genius help
you? Did I just blow the mic out?
You did.
I'm sorry I interrupted a man complimenting me. You were saying?
I'm saying that you are an improv genius. Second City and everything that you created one in New York. And does that help you with scripting and all?
Well, the reality is, a buddy of mine said acting is just improvising, but you happen to be saying what the writers wrote. The same rules apply. Improv is just listening and making your partner look good and being present and reacting in the moment.
7 of 9 is, like I said, in this series, she is completely different. She's found her humanity.
She has. And, she's still struggling this season, especially. And that's part of why they're butting heads, because she's finally embraced her humanity and her Borg self and had finally become, at the end of season 2, okay with being both things. And then she encounters Shaw, who can only let her have her human name. So she's still got that battle.
What a blessing to be a part of this Star Trek family it must be.
You've taken the words right out of my mouth. I mean, it literally has been, from this actor's point of view, the best character I've ever been given the opportunity to bring to life. She's so complex. She's so imperfect. She's so layered. She's so human. She's so real, and then to be, all 3 seasons, think about that. I've said this earlier, but, first season I worked with Patrick and Santiago. Second season I worked with Jerry. Third season I'm working with Michael Dorn. I mean, I just feel like somebody's just giving me gifts and I am taking them fully and, embracing them. I don't want to let him go. I don't want this to ever end. It's been an amazing experience.
I've said it once and I'll say it again. Michael Dorn is an international treasure.
Yes, he is. Yes,
there we go.
God. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh.
Right.
What am I doing here? Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Well, there it is. Now it's done.
Now you did it.
Now we did it.
Yeah.
We're underpaying you, certainly.
Well, that's
Michael. I mean, playing Worf, first of all, is a huge joy, I would imagine. But playing Worf now, as he's older and finding himself again, and this character just keeps giving and giving, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, yeah. You really. there really isn't a way that you can say, okay, we've done everything there is to do, especially with the producers when, and it's kind of a small thing and kind of an aesthetic thing, but when they gave him the white hair, you know, and everything like that, it was, at first I was like, oh, well, I don't want to be old, you know, and but it gave him a different facet to him, you know, like where his hair and Klingons age differently, but he still is, you know, a warrior, and he's become more of a warrior now. So and so I think it just keeps going, and luckily the producers listened. We listened to each other, and I wanted him to be on a journey. I wanted him to progress beyond what we saw last, and they were very good about that.
And without giving anything away, I mean, I think he's also more deliberate in how he approaches the others.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I think that was a challenge to kind of keep the writers and everybody kind of, you know, honed in on who this Worf character is, because they definitely have their own ideas about it, and they like what they like, and but they, at least they listened to me, and I was able to continue to be Worf. Maybe a little, like you say, a little more deliberate, a little more knowledgeable. He has achieved illumination in his life, where things are presented to him, and he goes, you know, he kind of gets it, which is really great. And he sees with he and Rafaela, he sees himself in her a lot, and he sees that he doesn't have to be a mentor as much as he allows her to be who she is and support her in those moments where she's maybe, you know, well, I don't want to. He says, oh yeah, you know, go with your gut. That's what's important. You know,
playing, you know, Dr. Crusher it's a different experience, isn't it, right now?
Well, it is, thanks to this man, Terry Metalis, who's our producer and a writer. It really was a rich Dr. Beverly Crusher, as far as I'm concerned. I feel that allowing her to have had this entire time away, I mean, that could be a series. It's very true. It was very exciting to be in a situation where I'm the outliner and I'm coming in and I'm seeing all these characters that I used to work with, these people that I worked with, and I held very dear. So it was just a gift. It was a wonderful experience. It was great to be doing the character, but she's different. We've all grown. And I think that's what makes it such a powerful. We have the young actors, they're so brilliantly cast. Every single other actor that you cast, it was just like spot on. And they were dreamboats to work with. So I don't really have any complaints. I know I complained a lot, but do I have?
You did complain a lot. She's done.
When the fans think you're fiddling with their favorite characters, do you listen to them? Do you get a lot of feedback?
Well, they didn't have a chance to have feedback. I had to go, so I had to listen to my heart on this one. And for me, I always felt like Beverly really never got her due. That certainly in the feature films, she barely played a part. And you know, it's not a spoiler to say that the very first person you see in season 3 is Beverly Crusher popping in the frame, and it was always the vision for it. In fact, she was the first call I made after I spoke to Patrick was, you're not going to believe this, but this is a pretty gigantic storyline featuring you, and it's really intense. And look, and this is an incredible industry, Hollywood, in which you get to work with your heroes. You get to work with people that you've admired for decades. And that's the case here, is that we got to spend hours in crafting and make sure she knows her character better than I do. she's been to conventions and fielded questions. So if she doesn't feel right about what her character does, then I've got it wrong. So of course, you're making a television show. There's not a lot of time. There's a tremendous pressure, but I feel like we did okay. I think we got everybody home to the right place.
And you're a really great storyteller. That's the thing. The story about what's happening is so terrific, and it just moves. It's boom, 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 boom. There's not sort of a slow moment where the doors close. It's like action, and that's you. And I can't believe that they wrote this and came up with this while they were shooting season 2. You're working on season 2, and he has to come up with season 3 the next day.
I can't believe it either.
I mean, really, I am in awe. I'm in awe.
Fearful be the man or beast that stands in my way.
Hey, kid, throw me one of those plasma charges.
It will be what it always was. Attempts on your life.
Weapons lock achieved.
We need to go.
The forge. Gun it. I think we should boldly get the hell out of here. Engage.
It is such a pleasure to meet you, Ed.
Likewise, Tony. Thank you for taking the time.
Here's the thing. I don't want to talk about your character because I want this to be a complete surprise for everybody who's tuning into Picard. So, I know this is going to be a little bit weird, but tell me, were you a fan of Star Trek for a long time? Have you been following the show?
I mean, it would be impossible to not be acutely aware of Star Trek. I don't know where you would have to have existed in the planet to have not been aware of it. However, I grew up. My old man was into the early Star Trek. I have an affiliation with coming home from school and Next Gen being run on terrestrial TV back in the UK, and having a very tender feeling towards it. But I feel that beyond that, then I sort of drifted away from it, got quite into the J.J. Abrams films. But then once this opportunity landed and was presented to me, I really ingrained myself. I went to town on it. I feel that Terry Matalas was instrumental in that process as well. He was like, look, here you go. He sent me this long email with he called it Star Trek University, and it was like there was maybe 20 to 30 TNG episodes on there, and then there was about maybe I want to say like 7 Star Trek films, maybe from Wrath of Khan all the way through to First Contact, and I devoured them, and they were really seminal for me and really important in structuring this character.
As an actor, I think playing in a science fiction series like this certainly taxes your toolkit that you have, because you've got to play things just a little bit different, but it's always the truth.
Yeah, good question. I mean, I think you've always got to search for the truth. That is the fundamental as an actor for me, and you have to, of course, you have to embrace the world you are, and you do need to be acutely aware of the sci-fi genre you're in. But so much of that, when you're actually on set, is assisted for you. You've got a great production design team. You've got a great camera crew. Everyone is costume. Everything is lending to create a world that, as long as you concentrate on what is really the driving force in these scenes and what is getting you through emotionally, that's at the root of it all, and that's what makes, I think, Star Trek sing so loudly and for such a huge amount of time, is the fact that it does that. It boils down and breaks down and explores relationships and dynamics and emotions and everything that we have to deal with on a daily basis, but it puts it in this world that is big and expansive and high concept and fun.
I also would think that costuming and makeup play a huge part in developing and finding your character.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's no different if you put on a suit one day to go to an event. You feel very differently. You walk very differently. It's the same thing as an actor. When you put on a certain costume, you feel the texture, you feel the smell of it, the touch of it, everything about it. It makes you move and operate in a certain way. And then, you know, even with Jack's character, like he had a jacket that was at the beginning, and we wanted him to have something that was pretty cool, felt like like a space cowboy vibe, but was something that he had owned for a period of time. It was a nice jacket, it was trendy, but it wasn't too high fashion. So yeah, all of those things completely lent to the character. This was something I jumped at with both hands. I use all the superlatives for this one because it filled me with such joy. It's such an honor to take on, and I feel a real privilege that Paramount, Terry Matalas, CBS got behind me on this, because I was given free reign to explore a wonderful character. So I was very, very lucky, and yeah.
It's a pleasure to get to know you and talk to you, and congratulations again.
Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Bye-bye. This portion of Screen Chatter is presented by VP Dental. Check out our great dental plans starting at just $16 per month. It is an absolute pleasure and an honor to catch up with both of you. And like a fine wine, Star Trek is just going so well.
Tony, thank you.
I have waited 20 years to interview you, Jerry.
Oh my goodness.
I've interviewed everybody else.
It's worth the wait, right?
It's that restraining order. I don't know.
It's worth the wait.
I want to thank you both for your time. It's so short, but I adore both of you. And come out to Salt Lake soon.
Absolutely.
I'm going to be there. I have a convention.
Yeah, we do. And I'll take you to lunch. How's that?
Thank you very much.
All right. You take care.